On today's show, Giannis Antetokounmpo hints that he may not stay in Milwaukee forever. Could Dallas be the place that he could go win a championship? Plus, we got some trade ideas we want to share with you on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everyday, or subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section. You're an MFFL, a Dallas Mavericks fan. Is your heart ready to believe that Giannis could come to Dallas again?
Of course it is.
Are you ready? Are you ready to do that? If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us on Mavs Rumors, watch film with me, and more. Subscribe to our subtext. Click the link in the description. Text the number on the screen below. There it is. There's the number. I can see it. You see it go?
Yeah, I can see it. It's right there. Look down.
There's the number. It's going across the screen. Subscribe to our subtext. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor, Studio 41, Mavs.com, the trade machine maniac. The One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
All right. I got it. We got to start with a quote off the top.
Oh, no.
Have you seen the Dwight Howard quote?
How many times in history has this started? Like, how many times has somebody walked into an NBA front office and be like, have you seen the Dwight Howard quote?
I just think this is just an incredible moment because...
Okay, I'm ready for it. I have not seen it, to be honest.
Oh, you haven't?
I know. I don't think so.
Oh, say no more.
On all my prep for Locked On NBA today, I did not see this.
I'm disappointed in y'all didn't cover it on Locked On NBA then. Should be the opening segment. Now, obviously Dwight Howard played in Taiwan this past year, and
yeah, invited everybody, recruited everybody in the NBA.
Yeah, so he I don't have the quote exactly in front of me, so I'm gonna paraphrase it here.
What?
So he posted on his Instagram about Team USA making the pitch of like, hey, y'all need to bring me on to Team USA, giving them a threat. And then he gives them the threat of, if you don't bring me on, I'm going to play for Taiwan and drop 85 on you. And I wish I had confidence like that. I have very, very low self-confidence. So just if Dwight could give me just a little bit of that confidence, I feel like I would be okay in life. But
I drop 85 on you.
I thought it was an incredible quote. Thank you, Dwight.
Oh my gosh, that's
Dwight
hilarious.
Howard. Dwight Howard.
I had not. If only Dwight Powell could have Dwight Howard's confidence. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right, today we're gonna talk about some trade ideas. We're gonna revisit the Deandre Ayton trade because Richaun Holmes should be able to be traded pretty soon here or now. And I want to start here though. Giannis Antetokounmpo went on a podcast recently and was asked, do you see yourself retiring in Milwaukee? Do you ever see yourself leaving Milwaukee? And he said, quote, as long as we play and we approach the game every single day the right way and we all sacrifice for the common goal, I could see myself being a Milwaukee Buck for the rest of my career. But the moment I feel like people are not as committed as I am to get the golden thing in the bag, I am not. I'm a Milwaukee Buck, but most importantly, I'm a winner. If there's a better situation for me to win the Larry O'Brien, I have to take that better situation. He then turned to the side, leaned over farther, pointed behind him, and there was his Larry O'Brien trophy, his Bucks championship trophy in a case behind him. So he was making his point very clearly. First of all, let's start with this. What do you think he meant by this?
Well, it feels weird because we haven't seen Giannis kind of like make some comment. He had a comment back a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
At this point, that was like kind of the first cracking open of the door, and he's at least laying the breadcrumbs out there of. It makes me feel like maybe he's got a hint or like just a sniff a little bit that Milwaukee wants to be a little conservative. Maybe he's getting a little bit of hey, we got a 2 to 3 year plan here. Let us do this, do that. And that's just me reading between the lines of it. And it's just like a nice reminder of, because Giannis is still, I mean, he's 28. He's going to be 30 whenever he can be a free agent. He, has that player option. He's under contract this year, under contract next year. And then he has that player option for the 2025-2026 season. So, he is eligible for this massive extension right now. It's obviously not happening right now. So that's, I mean, you can't ignore it, but if you told me he stayed in Milwaukee the rest of his career, I would totally get that too. But this is the first time that there's been a little bit of okay, well, we know how much winning means to Giannis.
Yeah, this is him cracking the door open. Like you said, this is him putting pressure on the Bucks. This is not him doing a Damian Lillard. This is not him doing a James Harden where he's ready to get out of there. Like, hey, I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. The Eric Bledsoe in Phoenix tweet from forever ago. This is him putting pressure on the Bucks. Like you said, if they're not all committed to winning, he's honestly taking a page out of LeBron's book with this one. He's saying if they're not all committed to winning, then, hey, I want to go where winning is prioritized and winning is, I feel like I can win. They also got bounced in the first round last year, and they asked him about that on that podcast. By the way, it's the first podcast Giannis has ever done. This is why people are talking about it. He's never really sat down and done like an interview like this. And they asked him about, being bounced in the first round, and he talked about how much that hurt, and it was kind of embarrassing and all that. And I think that last year put a really bad taste in his mouth, and he's like, hey, I'm committed to winning. If you're not as committed to winning as me, talking about calling out players, calling out front office, calling out the team, then I'm going to go somewhere else to find where that better situation is. The question is now, could the Mavericks be that better situation?
100%. I mean, we could do a whole, we did whole pods on it, back, gosh, it feels like forever ago now, which I guess it was 4 years ago. When the Mavericks were kind of making, angling for that opportunity to get Giannis. And it was a very highly debated type of thing for, Mavs fans of, why are we not going and getting the Terrence Rosses of the world, and spending some of this money here and there and some other decisions. Why are we doing all of this to give a chance at Giannis? I will still stand by that. I was all in the camp of if you have a chance to go get a Giannis or to, go, you're a prime. If he did leave Milwaukee, you couldn't convince me that they wouldn't have as good a shot as anybody else because they have a Luka Doncic. And that if you're looking at if winning is a part of, if that's the main thing, and that's what he's saying in this video, then I'm looking across the league and saying, well, who's the best guy I could pair up with?
Right. And
if he pairs up with Luka Doncic back then, we talked about it then, or if he pairs up with him in 2 years, because you can look at Dallas's books right now. And it's like, all right, you look at that offseason, they're obviously going to make, some moves this year and next year that might cut into that, that cap space here in a couple of years. But right now, Kyrie has a player option for that same summer. Luka's on the books, and you're looking at just a couple other people. It's like Maxey in the last year of his deal, Grant Williams, and then, a couple of the rookies there.
Maybe a Josh Green extension.
Yeah, Josh Green extension. Once again, they'll probably, make some other moves, whatever. But I will be fascinated right now. Let's just assume Giannis does not sign anything. Okay. And he said he does what he said that he's not going to sign anything right now, all that. How will we notice that Dallas will try to keep that summer clean? Will we see some of the moves that we try to really look at and be like, oh, they went out and got that player? Coincidence. His contract runs out, that summer and stuff like that. Can they thread the needle of when now, put a team around Luka and Kyrie that can go for it all while also preserving the opportunity if Giannis did hit the open market that summer?
Just don't say it. Don't say those two words.
Some would say playing powder.
Oh.
But
I'm gonna answer the comment section. I'm not ready. My heart is not ready to try this again, to do the planned powder, to wait out, hold out, to waste time, or to bide time waiting for Giannis to become a free agent and eventually come to the Mavericks. Like,
if you could thread the needle though and still be going for it all, is there another player that would be worth it for you? Because Giannis is one of the only ones to me that would be worth it. Because if you pair Luka Doncic and Giannis together in 2 years and they're together for the next 8 years, I mean, I'm saying 4 titles.
Conservatively. They do complement each other so well. What do Giannis teams struggle with? What did Giannis teams struggle with against Miami? Is shot creation, creating a shot, extra offense. What do Luka teams struggle with? Defense, rim protection, rebounding. Like, did you just pick up like it's like a gallon? Like, that's a military grade water bottle.
Yes.
That's what, and so they complement each other so well. So again, this is looking forward in 2 years, probably in free agency, because the Mavs aren't going to have enough to trade. Look at what Kevin Durant just got traded for. The Mavs aren't going to have anywhere near to trade for Giannis this year, next year, unless Jaden Hardy's a star, Omax is a star, Derek Lively's like they're all budding stars, and then all of a sudden you trade all 3 of those guys for a Giannis. Like, that, it looks like that would be a good trade, but woof.
But historically, though, you don't really see those type of guys get traded.
No.
KD is in the end of his career, but like it's typically that team's too scared to trade, so they just ride it out and play their odds.
Absolutely. We're going to ride it out into the next segment. We're not done here. Let's talk about trades. Isaac's got some trades. You know, he's the trade machine maniac. He's got them going, and we'll talk about some things the Mavericks could do to help them right now coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about something that can help you right now, something I had never thought about. And as soon as I thought about it, and as soon as I met with these people, and as soon as I learned what their product was, I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't thought about that. Jace Medical has 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use that you can get in their Jace case. You fill out a simple online form, and in some cases, you jump on a quick call with one of their board-certified physicians, so you know that they're helping you if you've got different medical situations. You go through that survey, you mark a couple of things. If anything stands out to them that may be, that may be questionable, they get you on with one of their board-certified physicians to make sure that everything's good. But you get this Jace case with those 5 life-saving antibiotics so that in an emergency, in a situation where you're traveling, where you don't have access to medication, where the supply chain breaks, you have yourself covered, you and your family, your loved ones, whoever you're with. Don't get caught unprepared. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. Jace handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation care. My sign up was so very easy, and you can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off their price by using the code LOCKEDON at checkout, jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. You'll want the peace of mind. jacemedical.com. Promo code LOCKEDON.
Jace case.
Next time, don't wait till it's 3 seconds left to talk.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, being an everydayer. We appreciate you for listening. We just talked about Giannis and him maybe leaving the Bucks. Now let's focus on the Mavericks at hand. How can we help the Mavericks right now? Isaac, you've been messing with the trade machine. Give me some trade ideas. We haven't done this in a while. I'm ready to hear what you got.
Well, we've entered into like the mini trade season again. That it feels like over the past handful of years that these last few weeks before training camps, start back up, we see some of the trade talk start back up, that some of the trade demands that happened at the beginning of the offseason that didn't happen. Then, everybody goes on their vacations and leaves and goes to their islands. And then they start coming back to home base. And then not just players, we're talking about front office and everything. And then, all right, everybody starts getting back in the groove. And then it's Portland saying, do we really want to carry the Dame situation into the season? It's Philly with James Harden. But we've seen trades happen in the past, few years that, what was it? The Donovan Mitchell trade that happened
September 3rd last year.
Yeah. So like the September season has quietly turned into like a mini little trade season for some like bigger names. And that's where I think we could still see some fireworks over the next couple weeks, because you're listening to this on a Thursday, the 14th. Mavs training camp starts in 13 days?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So
not long.
Yeah, media day is the 29th, the Friday, and then they head out on their trip. So, that's where we're in this like couple week window here, to where if Dallas really is going to try to go out and go get a big man, which I've still been in the camp of, and once again, probably going to be wrong at this point because the clock's ticking, but I've still been in the camp of, I think that they still go out and get a big man before the season starts.
And last year I agreed with you about the third ball handler. This year I do not agree with you. I'm not believing you this time. I'm not with you. I don't think they'll do it. I don't think it'll happen.
So would you be shocked if the Deandre Ayton to Dallas talks like leaked out over the next 2 weeks again? Because I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't think I'd be shocked by it. I think I would be surprised. I think I would be surprised because we've heard, at least from Tim McMahon, he was on our podcast and talked about how they were kind of interested in him. There's some believers in the front office, but there's also some people in the front office that don't believe in Deandre Ayton and don't want to do that and don't want to have his contracts on the books and all that. So I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd be a little surprised if it started again.
So if you're Dallas, you would assume, even though that they're saying the right things right now and telling reporters and stuff like, hey, it's probably going to be Dwight or competition, Dwight versus Richaun Holmes in training camp, see where it goes, all of this stuff. You would assume that Dallas is still circling their bases right now around the league, right? And saying, all right, let's check in on some bigs. Let's check back in. And I'll say it this way too. If you're Dallas, do you think Dallas thinks about like what they were holding back before? Would they be more open to it now? Would you be more open to, over the past month or two, is there something that's changed if you're Dallas to say, yeah, I think I might give up one of the young guys, or I might give up a first round pick if it means getting a significant big man?
Well, it's hard to think of what has changed. The things that they are holding back that we've learned that have been reported is Josh Green, and Jaden Hardy. That they didn't want to trade them for Jared Allen, Clint Capella. They were holding back on those two guys. And so unless you think Summer League changed their opinion on Jaden Hardy or FIBA changed their mind on Josh Green or something in between there, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they've changed their minds on it.
You don't know what happens on vacation, though. I mean,
that's true.
They go on vacation and that's all they're thinking about. They're thinking about this roster and like, dang it, man. Like, we really could, like, we're an upgrade away at center from, okay, let's just say the DeAndre Ayton thing.
My thing through the whole offseason has been, though, how desperate will they get? Will they get to it? And like you said, have thought about it and stewing on it for a whole vacation and been like, you know what? We just need a center. Like, if we just get a center with these guys and we can just trade Jaden Hardy. Okay. Yeah. I think that could maybe change.
Okay. So let's say the Phoenix talks get revisited.
Okay.
Richaun Holmes can get traded now, and it's Tim Hardaway, Richaun Holmes. And let's say Phoenix says, hey, if you want your upgrade at center, you want DeAndre Ayton. We like Tim Hardaway's fit with our guys.
Yep.
Richaun Holmes, we think he can play with us. You pick. You give us a first round pick, or you give us Jaden Hardy, and you get DeAndre Ayton. Now let's look at it from Dallas' side for a second. If they got him, how do you feel about this lineup? Now that you have Grant Williams and we know some of the young guys, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Josh Green, Grant Williams, DeAndre Ayton, with Maxey, Dwight, Seth, shout out to like 2017, Lively, Omax, and Exum.
Still. And
Exum off the
Derrick
bench.
Jones Jr. still.
Yeah.
I feel good about that lineup. Like I've been saying, they just need to address center in some way. And for all the negatives of DeAndre Ayton, he still can be a final center. He's been to the finals with that Suns team and has anchored a defense and can, he can do all the things that a Mavs defense asks and a Mavs offense asks. And Jason Kidd would have to really work with him because he's been, like, him and Monty Williams did not have a good relationship, and that was part of the big negative with him in Phoenix before. And one of the reasons why we think that he would be available before is that he wasn't happy in his role, wasn't happy with what he was doing and asked to be doing in Phoenix. Now they have Frank Vogel. Maybe it's a little different for him, but if they still want to trade him, if that situation is untenable, Maybe a change of scenery really helps him. He was a number 1 pick for a reason. He's got the talent. He can be a little bit more. Maybe Kyrie helps with him. Luka, obviously, we think helps. I tend to think that, if Chris Paul can't get the best out of you as a center, then I don't know that just a better point guard, a better playmaker, and Luka is going to make it better. But yeah, I feel good about that.
Yeah, and over 30 million a year is not ideal. Like,
and the downsides are his contract could, does it stunt Lively's growth? Maybe I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm losing sleep over that. And then losing Jaden Hardy, like, what do we think Jaden Hardy could be? And coming up, let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's talk about that specific deal with the Mavericks, cave on that, and Isaac's got some other trade ideas we'll talk about and more coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. NFL season has started. It's kicked off. One of our teams has won. One of our teams has lost, and their offense hasn't shown up yet, and that's my team. You can go right now to FanDuel, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets, plus all customers who bet $5 get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV so that you can watch the game. You were watching Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV, right?
I do. It's awesome. Love it.
And if you want to get $100 off that, all you have to do is bet $5 on FanDuel. Like, that's you just $95 you just gained in that transaction, basically, if you want to, and whatever you win off of FanDuel too. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. They have all kinds of NFL stuff. They also have a ton of NFL and NBA. They have WNBA. If you're looking at the playoffs right now, they got game 1. Dallas Wings, Atlanta Dream. Your favorite, Satu Sabli. My favorite, Satu Sabli. In this game, the Wings are 6.5-point favorite in game 1 against the Dream. So it's a pretty big one. The Liberty are a 9.5-point favorite against the Mystics. So that's a big one. Go check out that. They also have a series. What are the Wings in the series? Series betting. The Wings are a -340 favorite against the Dream in their series. So you can go check that out. Everything, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Check it out today. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of this show. Again, subscribe to our subtext. I'm starting to do a film rewatch, a watch back with people. I did the Mavs versus Knicks game where Luka put up 60 and he had the putback shot to tie it and put it in overtime. And I do like a picture-in-picture where I watch in the corner and I share some stuff. I'll point out some things that I noticed. I pointed out myself because I saw myself in the crowd on this one. I was sitting under the basket. And so if you have any suggestions, text me in the subtext. Just go ahead and you can get text straight to your phone and you can see that. So again, subscribe to our subtext. All right, Isaac Harris. We're talking about a potential Deandre Ayton trade being revisited. Maybe the Mavericks and Nico Harrison and the front office thought about it and they said, man, we've been looking at, Locked On Mavs is about to do these center rankings, and we know that Dwight Powell is going to be the 30th starting center out of 30. And we can't do this. We promised this fan base, we promised everyone that we would improve on rebounding and rim protection. And hey, we really haven't done that fully. We got Lively, and we think that's going to help eventually, but we're not sure it's going to help right away. Maybe we do Deandre Ayton. If they do the Deandre Ayton trade that you suggested earlier, and it's Jaden Hardy, what are they losing with Jaden Hardy? Like, what's the risk there?
Yeah, well, you're risking the offense off the bench because you're also losing Tim Hardaway in that trade. And so now you're asking a lot of Seth Curry. Even your guards off the bench then is Exum and Seth, but you're still going to probably stagger Kyrie and Luka in that case. I look at the starting 5 and like the closing 5, and I look at the end of last year, one of the last games of the season that played Sacramento. It was Luka and Kyrie who started, and the other 3 guys who started, Tim Hardaway, Reggie Bullock, and Dwight Powell. If you replace those guys with Josh Green, Grant Williams, and Deandre Ayton, how big of an upgrade is that? Because I think it's a pretty big upgrade.
That's a pretty big upgrade, especially in a closing lineup where it matters. Plus, also, the Mavericks still don't have a look where they have an imposing center at the rim or somebody to rebound or playing a bigger lineup. Yeah. Like they haven't had that look in years, and they need that.
So I say all this. I'm not sitting there trying to make the case of like, dude, Dallas should go out and go get Deandre Ayton right now. I'm trying to make the case of if it happens over the next 2 weeks, if the talks resurface, this is the reason why. Because I think there is a case for it. I probably wouldn't be in the camp. I'm still in the camp of like, man, I think you should go get like a Clint Capella, which let's pivot to Clint Capella right now. Michael Scotto dropped a piece on Hoops Hype talking about the Hawks trade discussions with Pascal Siakam and the Raptors and stuff. And so the Hawks are clearly still in business right now of potentially like, hey, we could change our roster and all of that. That was the deal that Tim McMahon was talking about, how they wanted Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, all of that. Has a month changed for Dallas to where at this point, like, hey, they might change them. I would be surprised if they threw a Josh Green in there, but what if Atlanta was like, hey, it's a protected first, and they kind of maybe they gave up a little bit and it's like, all right, we don't want, it wouldn't take one of the younger guys, but it's a protected first at that point. But here's also another thing coming up in just I want to say just a few days, Bogdanovic is trade eligible. So just had an awesome FIBA World Cup and obviously has a relationship with Luka and stuff. Is there a bigger deal to where he's on the books for 2 more years after Tim Hardaway's contract? He just got that extension from Atlanta. Would there be a bigger deal to where it's like Capella and Bogdan, and then it's like Tim Hardaway, Richaun Holmes, probably have to throw a first, or Jaden Hardy in that deal? Maybe Maxi's in that deal. I think you almost had to have Maxi in the deal for the money part. I don't know if you would do it or not. If it's Tim, Maxi, Holmes, and Hardy for Capella and Bogdan, it's a lot. So let me give you the lineup real quick and let you think about it this way. It'd be Luka, Kyrie, Josh Green, Grant Williams, and Clint Capella.
Love it.
With Bogdan in the 6-man role off the bench.
Love that.
With Dwight Powell, Seth, Lively, Omax, and Exum.
I like it. I like that you get the big. I like that you also get a guaranteed third ball handler where Bogdan can come in and he can light it up. He can also play make. You've got that guy that's better than right now. We're looking at, okay, could it be Exum? Could it be Seth Curry? Then instead you get Bogdan, and that's an answer. Like you have an answer to it instead of a what if. You get the answer of
people forget about Frank.
It's not that kind of an answer, right? Like it's an actual answer to the third ball handler and the center thing. You lose some versatility in that, I think, with losing Maxi. Yeah. You lose some potential with Jaden Hardy, which, man, we may have to have a conversation about what are they risking losing Jaden if they do trade Jaden Hardy? Because what could he be? Could he be a Jordan Poole? Could he be a Tyler Hero? And what does that mean going forward? Because that's a big question that I think the Mavs front office is probably asking themselves a lot. Yeah, well,
it could come. It's more complicated than this than what I'm going to say, but like. It could come down to they believe in Jaden Hardy so much that they're not that's bigger than the center upgrade.
Yeah, than a short-term short-term center upgrade.
Because it feels like they could clearly get a Clint Capella if they were willing to give up like a Jaden Hardy, but they're like, hey, we'd rather roll with Dwight and keep Jaden. And I see both sides of that. So like, I'm not saying one side, whatever.
We've mentioned like Jordan Poole and Tyler Hero a lot, but like if you look at Bradley Beal's rookie numbers compared to Jaden Hardy's, you're kind of like, okay, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. Because Bradley Beal played 30 minutes a game for the Wizards his first year. He was the third pick. He averaged 14 points a game, shot 38% from three. Like you can kind of see, all right, could he be that type of guy going forward? So that's what you're risking if you're doing a trade like this. You could lose out on a guy like that because Jaden is that good or can be that good.
Yeah, he's got the bag. He can get buckets like Beal. Can I throw at you one more? That's kind of random. So Tim Cato was on our pod. He reported too that Dallas and Detroit had talks around Bojan, back around Summer League and all of that, and. It was Bojan and Killian Hayes. But let me ask you this. Would Marvin Bagley be that big of an upgrade over Dwight and Richaun Holmes to where you would entertain a Bojan and Bagley deal?
I don't think he would be an upgrade over Dwight Powell.
Okay.
Maybe
I don't know.
Holmes,
I'm asking.
I know that I've talked to Cahill from Locked On Pistons, and he said Marvin Bagley's better than people thought last year. So he was like, okay. I don't know if he's an upgrade on Dwight Powell.
Because, a lot of times teams will revisit, trade talks and stuff. And if they revisit the Bojan conversation with Detroit's got this like weird situation because, Duran looked awesome,
Yeah.
you know, in summer league, and you know that's their long term big there. They also gave Isaiah Stewart a contract extension,
Pretty
and then
big
they got
one.
these like two young guys in James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley, and so it's like, all right, well, who's going to play? You know, Bojan's going to be their 4, so it's not like you're playing, you know,
So
a lot of these
weird.
guys together. Super weird. So I just wonder if it's a, hey, instead of Killian Hayes, is it? I mean, you would prefer Bagley over Wiseman, right?
Yes. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would too. So I don't know. You know, Bagley's under contract. He does make like $12 million, something like that. So that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, man, it would be a bullpen thing, right? Like it wouldn't be a, we've been on this whole thing of like, if you go and get another big, it needs to be a defined, like they are the starting center and there's no
Yes.
question about it.
To answer the question.
And you couldn't convince me that it's like, even though I do think like Bagley still has a future in the league, you couldn't convince me. Like if you told me 3 weeks into the season, Dwight's starting over him, I would be like, okay, well, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I know. I'm like, I kind of get it.
He
Like,
would start over. So I mean, that's not an upgrade to me really at all at that point. But yeah, they do have a weird front court thing. But they only have those 3 bigs. It's Duran, Bagley, and Wiseman. Like that's kind of it. And then Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah.
So you got those 4, and that's kind of it. That's your front court rotation.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought about that more, and I was like, all right. I was looking around the league at different bigs out there that could be entertaining on the market over the next couple of weeks as teams start to, you know, this is where you see teams start to cut down some of the rosters and see some of these teams cut a couple young guys, and we see the Garubas and the Ty Washingtons, you know, just get cut and go to waivers, and now they're on 2-ways and random spots here and there. And
Which,
yeah,
by the way, did the Mavs missed out on Garuba, right?
it was their chance to make another finals.
And then where did he go?
I don't know. Where did he go?
He went to Europe.
Oh,
so there you go, guys.
Did
let
he
us
really?
know.
I actually thought he stuck on the team.
No, he really did.
I like him.
I think he went to like Bayern or something.
All right. Whatever.
He returned to Real Madrid. He's back.
Back home.
There you go, guys. Let us know.
He's going to get torched by Luka in a few weeks.
I totally forgot about that. That's so funny. Let us know in the comment section if you're ready to get your heart hurt again with a Giannis potential to the Mavericks. Let us know what you think about the Deandre Ayton potential trade. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.